All right, about to go live.
Look at him. He gonna put his cigar in because y'all
Oh
showing
yeah,
out.
I'm showing out tonight.
Y'all showing out.
We're doing the Trinidad tonight.
Yes, sir. We is live. We is live. This is the first installment of the Cigar Chronicles, episode one. I am Tremont Arnold,
I'm Ernest Tilley.
Oh, Danita Quinn.
and we are your hosts. Shout out to BS3 Network and Roku TV for this partnership and giving us the opportunity for this platform. We definitely thank everybody that's checking us out via Facebook Live, via Roku TV. We definitely appreciate it. Definitely want to shout out to our sponsors, Crowns by Trade, Wing Snob, and Soul Brothers Cigar. So what I will do is I have some very esteemed guests on here today. So I will just let them give a shout out and let them know, tell you who they are. And we'll start with you, Miss Danita.
I am Danita Lacking Quinn. I am the founder of Southern Dallas Progress Community Development Corporation, also Small Business Initiatives Management with the City of Dallas, and a former precinct chair.
Mr.
And
Neal.
I am Yule Neal. I am the owner of ChevalierLife.com. I have a small website, on a small page on Instagram, Chevalier Critiques. I sell cigar accessories and apparel. And I do a daily blog or daily posting of thoughts of a classic man in the cigar track of the day. And I'm from Gary, Indiana, and I'm here in Dallas, and I love it here.
Yeah. Mr.
Hi, I'm
McLendon.
Marcus Mclendon, native of Arkansas by way of Houston, Texas. I own 1647 Group LLC Consulting. I do a lot of political consulting gigs throughout the country. Tonight, I'm actually in Fayetteville, Arkansas, doing a logistics setup for vaccination clinics for Arkansas Department of Health on the campus of University of Arkansas Fayetteville. I'm a former Obama administrator. Worked in the Obama administration from 2009 to the end of his term. I do mostly political consulting.
Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, one thing I always I want to do is start out the show is just to kind of ask everybody how they're feeling. A lot of times, us as African Americans don't take our mental health as serious as we should. So, I just want to, just ask everybody how they're doing. From a scale of 1 to 10, I'll start off. I'm probably about an 8. I'm feeling good right now. I'm loving this weather. It's been a good week. My son good, so he good. I'm good.
I have to say I'm probably about an 8 as well. I love this type of weather. We call it big boy weather, so I can appreciate that. so, so y'all little people, y'all better bundle up. But other than that, all is good right now. I'm kind of disappointed with the election, but other than that, we'll talk about that later. Ms. Danita.
I'm about maybe a 7.5.
Yeah.
I'm loving this weather as well. My dad lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Shout out to him. He's the biggest Cowboys fan I know in Milwaukee. Uh, but everything is good. My kids are good. My son, he's in everything. So everything is.
Well, that's okay.
Well, again, I'm Yule Neal, and I would say I'm about a 7. I mean, like everybody else, I love the weather. This is perfect time to be out on the patio smoking cigars, having great conversation with some esteemed people, and smoking a cigar. I My oldest, I have two bonus sons from my second marriage. My oldest just graduated from college. It started with Dallas County. He got an offer on yesterday, so I'm excited about that. My oldest son from a previous marriage just graduated from high school and started college, and the other three are doing great as well. So, all is good in my world. I'm loving life right now.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to fall in that category right at a 7. I'm traveling so much, so the weather changes on me. So I can't say I'm loving the weather because now in Fayetteville it's actually extremely cold here. I have 3 sons. They're doing wonderful. My son, that's in Atlanta, Georgia, is a photographer, videographer. So he's actually finding his niche. My oldest son is there in Dallas with some of you. He's actually with a firm there. He's a project manager. He does a lot of urban planning, community development. He's in the process in the next week or so to relocate to Charlotte, North Carolina. My youngest son is typical. He's still successful in the things that he's got his hands in, but he's trying to find his way. But he's the youngster. But other than that, I think for the topic of mental health, it's very interesting how our culture is now getting more involved in understanding it, because I think a lot of times we overlook some of the signs. I just recently found out there's such a thing as ADHD for adults. I had no idea. I thought it was just for kids. So yeah, that's a topic that I'm very interested in. I've been doing some research just for personal reasons to kind of get an understanding of it. And with the COVID going on and me doing these COVID vaccination shots, anxiety is high around a lot of us for us, in different cities and locations. But yeah, mental health is it's a serious issue, and I look forward to one day we may have another topic about that instead of politics.
Can I say something real quick? I forgot. My youngest son is in Maryland, and today is his 16th birthday. His name is Nicholas. I think he's watching. So let's send a shout out to Nicholas. Happy birthday, son. I love you.
Happy birthday.
That's at Nick Neal on Instagram. He's the man up there in Silver Springs, Maryland.
Good deal.
Y'all gonna have to teach me how it is with these older boys. So, I have my 13-year-old, and then I also have a 14-year-old. Yeah, so y'all have to tell me how this goes with these boys when they get older.
Just be prepared for an expensive water bill. They start taking long showers.
Yeah.
Wow.
All 4 of mine. That's all they do. They just, yeah.
Understood, Jack.
Understood.
I'm trying to push my 13-year-old in the shower. So,
well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump on in it, Tremont.
Cross country plays.
Yeah, so I want to start off. So I'm gonna start off. As we all know, even if you're not a big sports fan, that basketball season has started. In this past off season, Kyrie Irving took a stance on not taking the vaccine. Sacrificing millions and millions of dollars, even though, he already had millions and millions in the bank, he's definitely sacrificing. How would y'all compare that to, what Cap did and his stance? And also Ali, would you even compare all of those to what Kyrie did, or you wouldn't say it's to that level?
I would. I would compare it to Ali and Cap. I know it's a different subject matter, but I'll call it, is it civil disobedience or resistance, civil resistance, whatever you want to call it. But hey, this is the issue of the time right now, COVID and the vaccines. Back then it was civil rights. Right now it's COVID and the vaccines. And I think, he has the right to do so. He has the money to do so. Regular blue collar workers like myself we have to rethink that. If they start to make it mandatory, which that's a strong possibility. A lot of companies are already purchasing vaccines to administer to their workers. They're just waiting on the green light. For somebody like me, I might have to think twice about that. But luckily for him, he's in a position, I think, that he can make that decision, sort of like Dave Chappelle did. When things would have went against the way he saw it, went against his views, he was set up enough to step away, and I respect that.
I have a different opinion. I have a different opinion on it because the contract that I'm working on now specifically is with the vaccinations. So I'm basically the logistics coordinator of partnering up with pharmacists throughout the state of Arkansas and finding different hosts, and that can be anyone that wants to host a clinic. And we're doing these clinics. Being able to see it on this end of the spectrum and seeing the numbers the way they are, it's interesting. But as far as when it comes to Kyrie, my opinion is I respect his opinion. I don't push these clinics on anyone. I do help advertise for the clinics. We are trying to look into targeting some of the corporations that are in some of the areas so that we can actually let the owners know that we do have the shots available. Me personally, doing the research and being around these clinics, weekly, I just feel like, if he feels strongly about it the way he does, then I support it. Because at this point, that's his choice. That's his opinion. It's no different than the way I feel about women's rights for abortions. I don't think a man has the right to tell a woman anything about her body.
Definitely.
So I kind of compare it to that. But I think Kyrie, he has a stance of what he wants to do, whether some of his colleagues, his teammates, or owners or other individuals agree with what he's doing. That's their opinion as well. But here again, it's his man's opinion. So I support him. If that's what he wants to do, I support him. But I do support also those that are willing and want to take the shots. And by all means, with the platform that I have here in the state of Arkansas, doing what I'm doing, I'm doing the best that I can to try to get people out. And I'm making sure that I use my sources of networking to try to get the message out. And that's what I'm doing on a day-to-day. And I'm actually going to be in Arkansas most of the November and December month because we have the booster shots. Now we've passed the 5 to 11-year-old shots. So it's a lot of stuff going on here. And I'm just here to make sure that the clinics are set up properly and do my job from that perspective. But yeah, Kyrie, I do think he just, he's strong about what his opinion is, and I support him if that's what he wants to do.
I really appreciate the consensus of supporting him. And I like the fact that he has his stance and he's not belittling people who don't agree or are taking the vaccination, because I think you create more of a division when you say, okay, I'm not taking it. And then the people who have taken the vaccination, like something has to be ill will or ill intent regarding their decision. He's made his stance, he's stuck by it, but he hasn't said anything negative. He's kept it pretty, across the board. I just don't like all the negative attention that he's getting from making his stance. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's been people saying that he needs to be penalized, and he's already not getting a check for not playing. And he makes enough money. If he wanted to quarantine for the rest of the year and not take a salary, he could do that.
Right.
So we can't do that. I'm grateful for my employment at the city of Dallas. Grateful that they gave us a week vacation for all of those who decided to get the vaccinations early. Took that. Took that with the first hustle. Even my son got a little check for little $50 for getting his vaccination, at the school district. So, I'm just glad that he took the high road. He hasn't said anything negative for those who have taken the vaccination. And like he said, it's a choice. He made a choice for himself. Even his wife has said, she made a choice for herself, and her kids. And their kids rather. So it's just great to see that he took the high road and he still stuck by his position.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, like, I just find it funny how the Republican pundits like Trump Jr. had made a comment, and they were backing Kyrie in his stance for not taking the vaccine. But my thing is when it came to Cap, taking a stand for social justice, they told him to stay up and dribble. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, how the narrative can be changed, just to fit, people's personal agendas.
I mean, they're
so I just find that real interesting how
they're always going to do that. I mean, they're picking something because, that's their side. But when it came to Cap, I mean, had anybody really listened to all the words of the anthem before Cap? Like, who can actually say that they went back and read the whole preamble,
the third verse
before Cappy? Like, it made
The
you
third
go
stanza. Yeah.
and I started going back and reading all the lyrics to everything that we've been saying in elementary school all these years, and it hit different as an adult. You know, I'm telling my kids, y'all better read this stuff. What you saying? But we didn't pay attention to any of that before, Cap.
And it kind of puts you in the mindset when D.L. Hughley, he's one of the funniest guys in the world to me, man. And he's very political and he's strategic in what he be saying. But then somebody asked him, would he continue to listen to R. Kelly? And he said, yeah. Why wouldn't I? He said, well, have you heard about all the things that he did, with those kids? He said, I don't see that listening to his song no different than me singing the national anthem.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, y'all, let's look at that, because even with R. Kelly, they still hailing what's his name, Elvis Presley, as the king of rock and roll, and he was
the biggest pedophile ever.
Yeah, she was 14.
Mm-hmm.
You got all of them that did that, and y'all gave him a pass, and y'all done named him the king of rock and roll. Still, Jerry Lewis
had a telethon.
Jerry Lewis,
years.
Hey,
Woody Allen.
The worst one though was Bo Derek, the model.
The Australian model.
That guy married her underage, took her to a country where it was to be. He couldn't be
extradition.
Pedophile, so he stayed over there until she turned to a certain age. Then it brought her back.
I mean, think of what they did to Brooke Shields. This girl literally, she posed nude for Playboy when she was 9 to 13. Like,
she's like 13 years old when she did that back in the 80s.
She was 9 when they first got the pictures of her, though. 9.
Wow.
She was prepubescent.
Right.
Like, come on now.
Wow.
Yeah, you look at
my only issue
with
R. Kelly is whatever you did or didn't do, that's something that you and your God you have to face those consequences. But if he comes out and starts telling on everybody, then he loses me.
Yeah.
Take yours and keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this to that. I will say this to that point right there. Me and my wife had a really heated discussion about that recently. And one of the things she brought up was that, in the Black community, what goes on in your house stays in your house. But think about this. Think about, there's always that uncle that somebody says, hey, don't sit, to tell little girls, don't sit on Uncle Jerry's lap. To me, if go after R. Kelly, which he deserved everything he got. But, in our community, we need to start talking about some of that stuff, man. We spend too much time sitting back saying we're not gonna snitch, we're not gonna do this,
and that's historically what the issue is. Because I have a 19-year-old daughter, and I got boys, and you better not sit in nobody's lap, baby.
Hey, same here.
Like I don't. Boys too are being they're being predatory against boys, just like they are against girls right now.
That's and true. You have to teach your young men. You have to teach them, and that's one of the things that we don't see. You got people out here, man, that all they do is prey on young people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Social media makes it easy to do so now. And so, we have to educate. And in our community, one of the biggest problems, there's no communication. Well, a lot of times there's, communication is lacking in the family, because we don't like to talk about those issues. It's got to stay in the house. And I think it's time for us to start talking about it. Mm-hmm. And, I'm sure we're going to dove into that more later, but yeah, we need to talk about it.
Well,
Speaking of that, I know we kind of pressed for time, so that's the first line on it we done covered. so the second part of this is race relations worse now, or the spotlight is just bigger on it? What's y'all take on that?
I think the spotlight's bigger. I think it's because of social media. It's we see a lot with the webcams now, and then a lot of Trump's rhetoric made a lot of racists comfortable about being a little more open, and they use social media to do so. But I think that it's the same as what it was. I'm 54, and I'm from a place where Gary, Indiana was a predominantly black city when I was growing up there, And so I'm used to things being a little different. When I moved to the South, you know, is when I started. When I got out of the Marine Corps and I came to Dallas, is when I started really seeing racism, because all my life I grew up amongst black people.
Yeah.
But I feel now it really is the same. It's the same. It's just that it's more amplified because of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the issues we're seeing more of now is that people that we would have actually not thought. I mean, well, I wouldn't say people. I would just say some of the things that are happening now that we're seeing on that's being caught on camera. It's something that we've witnessed, you know, as African Americans most of our lives, especially the ones like us that grew up in the South. But to see it actually on film now, some of it is just getting to be ridiculous, because it's just like, really? I mean, you know, I don't understand it. Like when they have the incidents where an individual wants to go swimming at a swimming pool at an apartment complex that they live in. Like, really? I mean, it's almost it's interesting. That's why I'm enjoying the Cap's Netflix documentary that he has, because he touches on a lot of that. So you know, I won't speak on it because I don't know who hasn't seen it, but
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's a good documentary to watch.
I think that we've been exposed to more isms. So we have racism,
Yes.
you have classism, you have colorism. Like we're seeing it on a mass scale, not just from the racial part of it, but from our own culture, our own, you know, our own people too. And so it's just expanding that. And then it's that pretentiousness that's in there as well. So it's hurting us because when you go into other groups, you don't see it as much as it is with us. And you know what I mean? And it's just very, very disheartening. I grew up in Oak Cliff. Tremont knows. I tell him I'm Oak Cliff.
That's your
And
hood.
I've actually gone to school in almost every Oak Cliff district in Dallas. And then to turn around, and my dad is from Macomb, Mississippi, an hour away from Jackson.
I know where that is.
So you see a different type of racism in Pike County that you don't see in Texas. You know, in Texas, it's it's somewhat subtle at first, and then you kind of hit it hard. But in Mississippi, oh no, baby, it's loud and proud. It's you know, and I have to remember the stories of my grandmother who could pass.
Wow.
And how she was allowed to go through the front door of the Sunflower and the Piggly Wiggly, but you know, my dad couldn't because he had a little bit more pigment in his skin, a little bit more melanin in his skin. He had to wait in the car, you know, or go around back. So it's like in Texas, you just have that shh. We don't talk about it. But the first bill of sale of Dallas was a Black woman. She was the first thing that was ever sold in Dallas, Texas, and also the first person to ever be hung on Elm Street.
Wow.
Dallas, Texas. So it's like you have to find that history, you know, but Dallas has a history of shushing people. You know, don't mess up your money. If you want to keep your money, you'll be quiet about it. So
it's like the old adage: they'll let you in the club, but they won't teach you the secret handshake. You know, it's true. It rings true. They'll let you in the club, but they won't teach you the secret handshake, and they'll have all these things going on, and they're quietly talking about you. You know, it's ridiculous. And where I grew up, I didn't see that because everything was run by Black people.
Yeah, I was going to say this too. You know, we always want to, you know, constantly say that the system is broken. The system ain't broken. It's functioning how it was originally designed.
Right.
You know,
right.
You know, you got police officers, you know, that are the law, but are, you know, going about everything like they above the law. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know. What you think, E?
I think you was dead on. I think it's more spotlight to the sense that, you know, if something was happening in this video, it's so quickly to be forwarded and shared to the masses instantaneously. Right. So it's more visible because of social media.
But what are we gonna do about it though, E? It's like, you know, like the story about the girl getting raped in Philly on the train.
Yeah.
Nobody called the police.
Yeah.
They filmed it, but nobody called the police. So you just let her get raped?
I would have a problem with that. He would got touched with these hands. If I was
he'd have caught these hands for real.
That it was a young black man that did it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yep. I don't know, man.
But the social media is ruined us with the youth today, because what they find to be entertaining or just something that they can get hits on their sites and different things of that nature.
Right.
It makes no earthly sense. It's like watching these kids put bricks of money on their shoulders and different things like that. But then when you catch your case, now you got a tax issue now. I'm like, it's almost like their social media is going to run a lot of this generation right to prison, and they have no excuse for why they're going. They're posting videos of weapons, different guns that they shouldn't have, that are illegal in some states. But yet when they get locked up, it's just like you facing all of this time for stupidity, and it's just it's sad. So
in essence, social media is becoming a snitch.
Yeah,
because
I just found that there's a white. I'm gonna say how I'm gonna say this. There's a Caucasian male who has made over $600,000 a year by reporting people to the IRS, because the IRS has literally put a bounty on their head. So if you see someone on social media and they're flossing money, or that they have large amounts of money, you just fill out this form, put the city and the state, their first and last name, which is easy to find, and then the IRS goes after them, and then once they get processed, they get money for that.
Wow.
Now, here's the worst part. Not only do they they can find the name of these individuals, these idiots are then turned around posting their face.
Yes.
So now they have a mugshot.
Yeah. And then Facebook, well, they just they say they deactivated the facial recognition program that they had.
Oculus.
But they still have it. Yeah.
They still have Oculus, and because Oculus is still integrated in Instagram too. And then by LinkedIn partnering with Microsoft, they got the WhatsApp, so they also able to track.
Oh, she froze.
But WhatsApp is keeping a track of their phones. Wow. Because Facebook bought parts of WhatsApp too.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, hey, I'm looking at purchasing a new vehicle, right? And I'm thinking, like, I went on one website, and now I'm getting all these emails about cars. I said, hold on, man, I didn't ask y'all to send me this.
Oh yeah.
You can talk about it too and get it the same way. Last year when we bought our new truck, we were talking about it. And I swear 30 minutes later, man, I'm seeing commercials and banners for Range Rover all over my social media.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm a pivot just a little bit. I guess I have the question, is the black vote for sale? And how do you feel when people say that they're not going to vote because it doesn't count?
Can I say something on this one?
Oh, yeah.
If the black vote is for sale, they're lowballing themselves. Let's say that number one. Because they're definitely not going to get.
Say it twice.
It's almost like, and Tremont, you know this from being in politics. I've worked several presidential campaigns. I know that at some point somebody's getting that kickback. But I'm willing to guarantee you that small kickback that minority group is getting is nothing compared to the ones that they're getting. So I think if there is a price to say that they're selling themselves, they're selling themselves short. And that's just something I just find is just ridiculous, because you're doing something thinking that you're going to garner some favor, but then when that politician gets into office, you're on the back burner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we were just having this discussion at work, because I said, look at when the Asian community band together, all the things that they were able to accomplish, so quickly. They were able to change at least 12 policies, not policy, right? We're still begging for 40 acres and a mule. We're still saying, we had a discussion, and I'm like, they're not only asking for capital, but they demanded a seat at the table and got it, and then got 5 seats at the table. Plus, they have the policy changes, and then they have the long-term implemented audit of that to make sure that it's insured, and they got laws passed. I'm like, we didn't get any of that.
No, and that was done quick too.
Quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen it move. I mean, less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, Danita, the thing with us, you know, we'll wear our Black Lives Matter shirts, you know, we'll paint murals and we'll protest, and you know, that shit crumbs. The thing is we need legislation passed, and that's a fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? We think this little stuff is gonna make stuff change. No, we need legislation passed. You know, Ernst, you know, like I said, you know, and see, you know, had a partner, you know, run for city council in Mesquite and lost by under 40 votes. Literally, he lost by under 40 votes.
24 votes.
Yeah.
And he would have been the first black city councilman in the city of Mesquite.
Wow.
And the turnout was beyond low.
Horrible.
I can't say it was low. It was beyond.
I think it was 1,100 people. 1,100 people came out to vote. You know, and he lost by 24 votes.
Mark Cooks won by 1 vote. He had one friend who had the flu. He asked him to get up and go vote on the last day. And that friend got up to go vote on the last day. And that's how Mark Cooks won.
Where was that? Where was that, Danita?
In Duncanville.
In Duncanville?
Duncanville. He called all this, like, hey, did you go vote? He had one friend who was sick, and he was like, man, I'm going to get up and go vote. And he went to go vote.
Yeah. And think about what's going on in Harris County with me down here in Houston.
Man.
You took the souls to the polls away, and that's been a huge push for Harris County.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, when they took out the straight ticket down here, that killed us. Like,
yeah.
And people are at the post. You mean I gotta think who I'm gonna vote for?
You gotta research it.
Go straight Democrat. Even this last one that we had, yesterday? Was it yesterday, Tremont? It was. They had. It was only 8 props.
Yeah. I'm looking at the results on that now.
I had to send out a mass text and everything for people to go. I'm like, it's 8 propositions.
Yeah. And y'all had Republicans win 4 your spots.
Man.
San Antonio, Garland, Fort Worth, and Arlington.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Plano.
Heard in San Antonio.
Yeah.
I heard in San Antonio.
Well, I think the other part is that, you know, I was looking at the progression of how many voters that we actually have. And people keep saying, you know, oh, we need to get them registered to vote. I'm like, nah, we got enough registered voters. Y'all are just not going to the polls.
Right.
What are you talking about? And then at every end, you're registered. When you go get SNAP benefits, they ask you to register.
They ask you to register,
When you go to get your driver's license, they ask you to register. When you get WIC, they ask you if you're registered. When you change your water bill, they ask you, are you registered to vote? You have multiple. No, we got enough registered voters.
Yeah.
You don't have them at the polls. I
just experienced that. I'm new to Texas. I've been in Texas 3 years. I moved to Texas to work for Commissioner Rodney Ellis for Harris County, Precinct 1. And I recently changed my Arkansas ID to Texas. They asked me to register. Then I went back because I own a trucking company. I do car hauling, so I have a trucking company as well. I went back, got my CDL. I had to turn around and they asked me again, did I want to register?
Wow.
So yeah, I just experienced that in Texas.
Yeah, they have multiple options. You can't get a benefit in Texas without them asking you to register to vote.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the post office and get a card and fill it out yourself to register.
Right.
When you move into your new house or your apartment and get your address changed, they ask you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
I guess my question would be, let's move on to President Joe Biden. How would you grade Joe Biden's time in office so far?
I've worked for him personally, so I have a different opinion of him. I like him as a person. He was always honest with me, and I've had some, pretty not a lot of time with him as opposed to the other officials that I've worked for. But I think right now, I would have to say he's above a D, but he's definitely at a C-.
Yeah, I think that he's combat.
Yeah.
He's there's so many things that he needs to dispel. Like they had the rumor about HBCUs not being funded
Yes.
under Biden.
Yeah.
That was a lie. That is not true. They actually got
Yeah.
an astronomical amount of money. But it's like Trump created the fake news, right? The satires and all that. He enhanced it. And now I think that Joe Biden has not been proactive enough to take care of that. You know what I mean? Like he's being reactionary, and I need him to be proactive to dispel a lot of these myths and start telling people the facts, you know, and give it just like he was fact checking during the election. Like, Negro, I need you to fact check now, you know.
Yeah.
I need you to do that.
Yeah.
I said the same thing, Danita. One of the biggest things that at the beginning of his presidency, I felt like he wasn't coming out and addressing or denouncing the big lie about the election. He didn't do that. And one of the biggest things for me, I felt like he kind of lays down as it relates to, say, his infrastructure bill. You know, why not play hardball with the Republicans the same way that they play hardball with the Democrats? You know, say one of the things they'll say, hey, if you don't do this for us, then we're not going to give you this. With the Republicans, I felt like he needs to get with the red states and say, hey, look, if you're not going to back my total infrastructure bill, then I'm going to block some of your funding. You know, he doesn't do that. And I think, you know, he's done that the same way with, and I'm not a political guy. I try to keep up, but he hasn't done that with what am I talking about? With the
Infrastructure.
the immigrants, too. He hasn't really said anything. And I'm looking to hear more from him about these issues. And he just hasn't said enough, you know. And you got governors like Abbott here they're talking every day, man. Fox 4, they're talking. And he's not coming out and saying anything to denounce any of this stuff. And it's really concerning for me.
It makes me feel like he's just throwing money at like everybody. Like he's Oprah. You get a stimulus. We're gonna keep this stimulus going. Like now you got people that don't even want to get jobs because they holding out to get another stimulus check.
Yeah. They want another $600 plus
like,
how many kids you got.
We as a country are gonna be in a hole because you keep passing out money. And yes, it stimulated the economy, but the wrong way. Because now it's like that welfare thought. You know, like when they built the projects, it wasn't for people to stay in the projects forever. It was supposed to be for a little while, then you go get you a house. Well, now, since you're going to keep giving us this subsidized living and the stimulus, we're going to stay here and just keep milking it. Yeah. And that's not helping us better as a country because now we're just becoming more codependent.
Right.
And we're not self-sustaining.
But Danita, like you're saying that right now, we can say that amongst us right here, and it's okay. But if a white person said that, black people would be going nuts over that. You know I feel they would be really upset.
I don't care who serve it, but I love the truth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like that.
If I had to grade him, I would probably give him probably a B- for the simple fact, like to her point, I think it is causing a lot of folks to become dependent on the governmental money. So I can agree to that in some sense. Some folks just desperately needed it, you know. So it wasn't, you know, in vain of him doing that. Two, I think the thing I really graded him with probably the lowest was with regards to the withdrawal of the troops, and I know that was probably something that was probably not been done in some time, so he really didn't have a really good process to follow with the withdrawal. But I think if I had to grade anything as far as his time as president, I think that would be probably the biggest blemish, you know, from my perspective, was how we actually got our troops out of Iraq.
You know what, Ernest? I agree with you, except for on that. You know, I'm a military man. I'm a Marine, and it was time for us to come out of there, man.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have been out. So I don't want you to think that. I'm just talking about how we got the blurts with the airplane. I mean, with the flights out.
Ernest, from what I understand, I mean, my dad was in the Army. My uncle's in the Army, in the Air Force, and my ex-husband was in the Army. And I think that it was more so Trump let this man out.
Yeah.
He He said, you know what I'm saying? Like, he
Yeah.
let this man out. And then we essentially have been training this country for years. And they failed so fast.
Right.
So fast.
Mhm.
He had to like Neil said, he had to pull him out because they would have killed our people.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I think we should have been out. I'm just saying as far as how
he did it though.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Let
And
me
this
say
has been a
real quick
problem that's
point,
been
and then I
passed
know you
on
guys
from
wanna check.
Obama to Bush. This goes back, you know, this goes back, you know, so I really can't just put it all on him. I just felt like he said, you know, enough is enough and let's just get him out of there. Because this has been an issue for the last two presidencies.
Yeah, but
Last two
think of
administrations.
it this way also. We just talked about the stimulus and the free money that's been given out, which we know that's typically to the minorities. Look at the trillions of dollars that we just lost and wasted on removing those troops and equipment that was left there. Those are $60 million
Yes.
different equipment that they had. That's trillions of dollars. That's going to hurt the economy too, but no one's talking about that.
Right.
Yep.
Shit, that's reparation money.
I guess that's your segue. That's your segue right there.
Let's go.
That's the segue on reparations.
Lord.
Reparation money. Hey,
I'm a little afraid
let me ask y'all this.
I don't know what to say about
is
that.
defunding the police a good idea?
Say that one again.
I think he said, is it defunding the police a good
Defunding the
idea?
police a
Give me
good
that
idea.
land. I need my 40 acres of the mule. I don't need the money. Just give me the land.
You know, both of those things. I mean, I do believe.
Yes, defunding the police a good idea.
I do believe in defunding the police, but I think that it needs to be explained because I don't think that is the proper terminology that needs to be used.
I agree.
When we speak about defunding the police, because you got to understand, like the city of Dallas, and I don't want to go too deep because I work for the city of Dallas. But what I will say is that people don't understand the budget breakdown of the police department. Police officers, especially a police department.
I just got to push mute on you.
Huh? The police department in Dallas is defund the police. You got to understand about the amount of overtime that police officers need to get paid. We actually have one of the lowest salaries for a city of our size. So police officers actually need to get paid more so we can afford the type of officers and caliber of officers that we need. But also just the nooks and crannies of having a police department. What would that look like? But I don't think defunding is the proper terminology that needs to be used for that.
I agree. I don't think we need to defund them. I think we need to focus more on how we're choosing and selecting them, because it's their actions.
Well, I'm gonna say this,
not necessarily the funding of them. I think we need to figure out that part first. But the defunding them, I don't agree with that either, because again, they need to get paid for the services that they're supposed to be providing.
Yeah, and
we're selecting the right type of members to provide that service, then that's a problem.
You were saying something, Tremont?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, Marcus. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Same thing. Pretty much, Marcus said that we actually need to do more community policing. We need to give we need to recruit police officers that's from these communities. We need to get people that's from Oak Cliff. We need to get people that's already from these communities. So they already have rapport with the people that's already in the neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? So a police.
Okay, you keep freezing up, Trey.
Yeah, but you see what they say.
That's what we need to do. It just needs to be better community policing. Back at the crib. Yeah, back at the crib. But see, I think that varies from place to place, because even like I said, I'm from North Little Rock, Arkansas. And we have officers down there, Tommy Norman, and he's probably one of the
Right.
best police officers I've ever come
But you
across.
see what
And
they
that's
did to
because
him, though.
he's from the
They told him
neighborhood, he's
he
from the
couldn't do the
community, and
community
he,
stuff no more.
actually, takes pride in community policing. Now, when you start talking about defunding the police union,
Say something. Now you're on to something.
Yeah,
Now.
y'all own it
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
That's it.
I'm just saying, now if you talk about, defunding the union, now that's a little different.
Yeah. And that's what I was just about to say. They're one of the most powerful unions out there.
Did anybody see the article?
That pension and all that. Now you raise my eyebrows if you start doing that.
Yeah.
Well, Tremont, you say that, but wasn't it? Am I correct that a couple years ago there was a big issue with the police union and the pension in Dallas? Wasn't there a big issue with that?
Yes, there was, but it wasn't the union. It was literally the city of Dallas pension for police and fire. So that was separate. But I really wish that we would stop allowing the police union to support elected officials. That right there would save.
That's a conflict of interest in every way.
Yeah, I think that would save us a little bit of a headache, but that's just my own personal view. Marcus, what were you saying about an article?
There was an article about an officer, I'm not sure what state, a Caucasian officer. He had so many things on his file against him, but the man made $600,000.
He sure did.
I think that was in New York. I think that was in New York.
Yeah, but they just fined him. Didn't they finally get him? No, he's not an officer anymore, though.
Yeah,
is he?
I think he's
finally not an officer. But think about it, he retired. They even let him retire.
They let him retire. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. We get fired and lose everything. They get demoted or retire and keep everything.
Or paid leave.
But that also goes back to citizens helping to change the policy.
Yeah.
We gotta
Goes
stop.
back to voting.
Want him fired. No, change the policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We gotta change that paperwork.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I say, I mean, I'm not for defunding the police, but I would think if anything, I think they need to go back and look at how, I guess it was to Neil's point, how they actually select these folks. You can actually become a police officer quicker than sometimes to get anything. Basically, within 6 weeks, you can be damn near police officer.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, for Dallas, it's a little bit. I mean, they do have to go through the T-close training and all of that good stuff. But I think the biggest part for me is the fact that, one, we need more officers. They need to be paid. That the requirements for an officer need to be increased. The pay needs to be increased because we are asking them to give up their jobs. Now, in the city of Dallas, we do have NPO officers, which are neighborhood police officers that do the community policing, and they do a doggone good job of it. I'm not gonna just saying because I've been around them, but they've done a good job. But my point is that we need to also start asking for equitable solutions when it comes to the safety and the security of our neighborhoods. People always talk to me about, when you go north, they don't have crime and this, but they also got cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
Apartment complex in North Dallas without cameras, them little ocular cameras being up. But if you try to put them in Southern Dallas or South Dallas and East Dallas, it's a problem. No, we need the same amount of security that they have. Lighting. Their streets have more lighting than ours. We complain about, they trying to spy on us. No, we need lights. We need to be able to see. You see, you have less muggings, robberies, all that when you have certain things and certain elements that are layered in certain communities. And then we also need equitable stuff. So we got a lot of tech over here, low income, tax credit apartments in Southern Dallas and East Dallas, and they don't have that when you go north.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Forney. We only got one. We only have one. And a lot of the issues that you hear about in Dallas, we just don't hear about them out here. When something happens out here, it's major out here because we don't have the same issue.
I'm gonna tell you, my sister live in Forney, and she done had 6 Black Lives Matter signs come missing out of her yard. So
I believe that.
I bring my butt back to Oak Cliff.
That's a big issue out here. But I tell you what, man, one of the reasons that I moved out here, not only because of my kids, but one of the reasons I moved out here is because I felt like it's a community that's growing. There's a lot of black people that are moving into this. Kaufman County has a lot of black people that are doing a lot of things. But, my heart is in Dallas because I moved here and I was in Dallas. But, one of the big reasons I moved out here is because of the safety, and it's a little bit better for my kids.
I live in Forney too, so I definitely understand that. I live in Forney as well.
Yeah.
Well, I live in Oak Cliff off of Redbird Lane and Polk. Everybody said I wouldn't be able to find a house over here, but tell them, Tremont, we just had a house sold for $1.2 million 4 blocks away from my house, and it's a black family that bought it. So I was like, yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something. If I was gonna live in Dallas, that's where I would live. I'm over there. My son goes to Faith Family. He plays ball over at Faith Family, and I'm down there every day. And let me tell you, when I'm riding through there, I'll be like, ooh, this is the stuff they don't talk about. This is the stuff they don't talk about with Oak Cliff, man. Oak Cliff is a beautiful section in Dallas, man. I really love it.
All right, so let's go to a little lighter subject. So if you had to have dinner with 5 politicians, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
I'm gonna hit this one because I'm gonna hit this one first because I made notes on this one.
Okay.
I said Richard Gordon Hatcher. He was one of the first black mayors of he was the first black mayor.
I was gonna say Ernest. Let's
you froze up.
He froze up, yeah.
Say it again, Tremont. You froze up, boss. We still can't hear you.
I ain't say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna just hit my list. Richard Gordon Hatcher.
I was listening when he said I didn't know who that was.
Oh yeah, he was the first black mayor of Gary, Indiana. And I'd like to ask him what happened. Why did all of the retail and the businesses leave Gary, Indiana? That was a big deal when they moved out into the white counties. I picked Bill and Hillary Clinton because I'd like to sit down and really talk to them about their mass incarceration policies during the war on drugs. I have a niece here in Dallas that does a lot with that, Brittany Barnett, and she's been fighting, getting people out of jail. I know
Brittany very well.
Brittany, yeah, that's my niece. And through the Buried Alive project, she's been working on overturning, some of the sentences of some of these people that are getting life sentences for marijuana. Lyndon B. Johnson, because I want to know what his conversation was like with Martin Luther King when they were fighting over the Voters' Right Act. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall. I know they was really talking in there. And the last one would be John Lewis, man, because he's one of my personal heroes. And I'd like to know about his early years in the civil rights movement and how he would have felt or what his views were on where we are with civil rights today versus when he first started fighting that battle.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Danita?
So my first one would be Maynard Jackson. He laid the foundation for Mecca.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He laid the foundation.
Yes, he did.
So he would be the first one. I mean, he actually takes 2 spots for me because I would just take an extra long time with him. Kim Janey, who I had the honor of meeting recently, she's the mayor of Boston. Boston is a whole different type of city, but they're very forward on starting initiatives for businesses and also creating an ecosystem for minority businesses in Boston. So I love that. Also, Mayor Kirk here, from Dallas. He was the first black mayor that we had. He actually helped us get over. See, gentrification was supposed to happen under him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what y'all didn't.
Right.
But it didn't.
It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is like bruh, what were you doing? You know, Muriel Bowser, she's the mayor of DC.
DC, yes.
The woman is just phenomenal. And Mr. Lewis, you know, I mean, it's like all of them together, like I'd be good, but Maynard would take the cake for me because he dealt with so much and he got down in the trenches.
Yes, he did.
With everybody. I've never seen and never heard of. I've watched 4 documentaries about Maynard Jackson. From the black kid killings that was going on in Atlanta.
Right.
During that time. They had black men that were being lynched in Atlanta during that time. I mean, he dealt with so much, but he was in the trenches for everybody.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, and the airport wouldn't be what it is in Atlanta without Maynard. So
that's right. That's right.
Mr. Marcus.
This one is actually hard because some of the people that you guys have named, I've had dinner with some of them because I've worked with the Clintons, so I can check that box off. So I'm gonna try to go with some people that I haven't been around. John Lewis unfortunately passed without giving me this tie he promised me, but anyway, that's another story. I would probably say Willie Brown. I would like to pick his brains just to see what was it like being the governor of the state of California, just to kind of see what would be his advice for someone else that's a minority that's running, to see what he would actually, say about that. Trying to think. For as Arkansas, we had Lottie Shackelford. She was the first. I think Tremont can correct me. I think she was the first Black mayor of Little Rock. Of course, I know Lottie. Actually, she's working on something right now back in Little Rock. So I haven't had a chance to have a lunch or a dinner with her, but I would love to just talk to her about what was it like running Little Rock during her time frame, just to kind of see what advice that the older generation would give to the new generation. Let me think. The other mayor, or just say a politician, I would have to say I like the former mayor of Atlanta before Kasim, and Muriel Bowser. I lived in her district, so I voted for her when she first ran. So I was in her ward. Tremont and I have a close friend that actually works for her on the VA side of things for DC government. But yeah, she was someone I would have loved to have had a chance to have a conversation or lunch with. The weird story about DC's famous mayor,
Marion Barry.
Yeah, Marion Barry.
Yeah.
I lived in DC.
He was left off the list on purpose, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? The day I met him was at his casket. I worked his funeral.
Wow.
So I was that morning before the public got to the funeral there in DC. I actually walked past his casket and it was open, and literally that was my first encounter with him. I wish I had got a chance to actually meet him because he did a lot of good things. I know we wouldn't have BET if it wasn't for him giving him that contract. So I knew about that story. He would have been somebody of interest to have a conversation with. But I would have to go back in time. I would have loved to have met. I'm going to chop up his last name, but Hiron. He was the first Black senator.
Yes.
I would have loved to just actually been able to sit at a table and get an idea what it was like to be a Black man at during that era, to see what his thoughts were on things, because things were different. But he would have been somebody that I would have loved to have actually had a chance to have a conversation with.
We got 2 minutes. I'll make mine real quick.
Because, working on the national level for the campaign, I've met some of these people. So I've actually been around something. Like I said, I can tell you.
Okay, we get it, Big Timer.
Hey, I've just been blessed. I don't usually speak on it. Tremont can attest to that. But yeah, I've been around a lot of them.
Oh, that's dope. I'll say mine real quick. It would be Michelle and Barack.
I'm gonna run through mine. Yeah, I'm gonna run through.
I'll say mine real quick. Michelle. And
okay,
Barack.
I just run through mine. Number one for sure is Adam Clayton Powell. Maynard Jackson, Barbara Jordan, Harold Washington, and he not a politician, but he's real intriguing. But Stokely Carmichael, I'm a
Yes,
big.
sir.
I like looking at
Yes,
a lot of his
sir.
old videos, and things like that. You know, I think Stokely is that balance between Malcolm and Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes. I agree.
so I like I said, I think that would be. I think they'll be my top ones.
Mine would be, like I said, mine would be Michelle and Barack. Of course, Martin Luther King, of course. I would say Malcolm X, and my fifth one would be Raphael Warnock. I just think he's dope as far
He's
as
amazing.
what he was able
amazing.
to,
Awesome.
what he was able to do in Georgia. It was just, I mean, it's phenomenal.
And
Phenomenal.
Neil,
He gonna be there too.
Neil,
He ain't
one
going
day I'll
nowhere.
tell you the story about when Martin Luther King tried to come to Dallas and the White Citizens Council stopped him.
Wow.
Man, we need more than an hour for this conversation.
No.
Look here, I don't know what we
know.
can do. We need more than an hour for this conversation. Can I give a shout out to Tremont? Because I met Tremont when we were striking at GM, and him and Carol Crabtree came out, and I did a little impromptu live with those guys, and you guys lit a fire in me. So I want to say thank you, Tremont. You are somebody that I really admire, man. I really do.
See, you always raising hell with somebody. That's how I met you too.
Well, they were out there, and Tarrant County didn't even come out there.
Yeah.
And Tremont and Carol and their staff came out there, man, and believe me, that went a long way with the UAW, man. That really did.
That's great. That's weird because I came out there too. That's dope.
I ain't see you. I ain't see you.
I didn't come with them. I came separately. I came on a separate visit.
Bro, since you live in 40, we need to hook up.
ASAP. Let's do it.
Y'all meet at Whiskey's then and have an old fashioned.
Danita, old fashioned is my favorite drink, and I heard good things about you. My wife said she knew you. My wife
we
said
sat next to each other at Whiskey's.
She told me that.
No. You.
When?
When you was at Whiskey's one day, you sat right next to me, and I said, "I know you from Instagram." And you was
I remember that night. It was a Saturday night. Y'all was having a private thing up there that night. We gonna talk, Danita. We gonna talk.
John just kept sending me old fashions. I'm like,
hey, everybody.
I gotta go home.
Go ahead, Tremont.
Everybody, give everybody, let everybody know what your social media handles are. For the listeners that's tuning in, so everybody know how to find you.
Danita?
I'm Danita LQ on Facebook and Danita Lavis on Instagram.
I'm a Chevalier Critiques, CHEVALIERS on Instagram, and Yule Neal on Facebook.
Mr. Marcus?
I'm Marcus K. Mclendon on Facebook, and also Marcus K. Mclendon on Instagram.
Good deal. Good deal. You want to close this out, Tremont?
Yeah, I want to definitely appreciate everybody for coming in and just like I said, we just on here chopping it up, you know. And I definitely appreciate everybody. This is like I said, this is definitely a good venture. We on Roku every Roku TV that you see will definitely be available. You'll be able to check us out every Wednesday, 8:30. So definitely check us out. You can find me on Facebook, Tremont Arnold, TRAMON, Arnold, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So please, like I said, check us out. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for BS3 Network. Thank you for Roku TV. Thank you for our sponsors. We definitely appreciate it. You got anything, E?
Yeah, I just say thank our guests for coming on today, man. Y'all have been great, man. For our first show, I think this was amazing. I'm on Facebook under Ernest Tilley, EARNEST Tilley, TILLEY. Thank y'all again for participating, man. It was awesome, man. Y'all have a good evening.
Hey, can we come back? Can we come back?
We'll think about it.
Yes.
Hey. Yeah. We'll do a part two. We'll do a part two.
Hey, bro, we need a part two, man. Ernest, where you live at out here? Well, don't put that out there.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Well, you know, Tremont is
we'll do a part two.
Street, so he know where I am. You know, he got
you made it clear he's an old Cliff.
He's an old Cliff.
That's y'all. That's y'all.
He's in the Cliff.
Hey, but we can meet at the golf course.
We's in the Cliff.
Hey,
Wait a minute. You know, I work in the factory, so y'all have to meet me after 2.
there you go. There you go. All right, you guys.
Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
so much. Nice meeting y'all.
Enjoy y'all
All right.
evening, and we appreciate it.
All right now.
Appreciate you.
Much
All right,
love,
have a good one.
guys. All right.
Bye-bye. Can we turn